No, I'm not a cowboy, and I'm not trying to play one on video. It's very bright out, and I don't have any branding on this hat, so I prefer to use this than one of the ball caps that's advertising, maybe a brand you don't like. Anyway, back when I did the video on the difference between the word or hand axe and hatchet, which we determined that hand axe is something that's not hardened and tempered on the entire head, just the blade, where hatchets are multi-purpose tradesman's tools. And that distinction, as far as we could tell, might not have existed before the great manufacturing period of axes from the 1820s up till about 1970, when it starts to fall out of use, because there's so many things where they tempered the whole head, and technically by that definition they would be hatchets and not hand axes. That's one way to look at it. I still rely on the tradesman's tool distinction, whether the heat treatment is one or the other, but some of the catalogs from the manufacturers and retailers, and they kind of got stuck with that definition, so as you temper the entire head, they started to call them hatchets. And by that time, the public's not owning both kinds. They don't know the difference. Somebody asked me categories, what's the difference between a camp axe and a sportsman's axe and an axe pattern hatchet? And I thought, that's a good question. In fact, I would like to find an answer for that myself. So I went searching through archived catalogs, and I found one where they had made the distinction axe patterned hatchet. And I thought I was onto something when I saw that, and they're like, oh, so when it's really hardened, then you call it an axe pattern hatchet. But I saw it with a camp axe that was also hardened, and they didn't call the camp axe a camp axe, they called it a camp hatchet. And I thought, like, okay, so they're sticking to that definition with the temper. But then I found out there were a couple of other, what I would call hand axes, that had hardened poles. A different catalog would call hunter's axe. And I thought, like, well, if it's not the hardening, what is the deal? Why are they calling it one a hatchet and one an axe if it isn't about the hardening? Oh, we got that wind again. Every time I talk, it gets windy. So that might be significant. So if it isn't about the head being hardened or not wholly that determines whether it's a hatchet or not, and they're calling some of their hand axes hatchets, not just the tradesman's tools, I've got to find out what the distinction is. The person who asked the question said, is it just a matter of size? Like, is a hunter's axe heavier than a camp axe? Well, in the catalog, a sportsman's axe, a camp axe, and a axe pattern hatchet, they were all available in 3 weights. You could get them 1 1/4, 1 1/2, or 1 3/4, and they were on 3 different lengths. You could get them 12 inches, 14 inches, or 16 inches. So that's not it. You just take your pick what you want. They had different handle designs. The hunter's axe had a curved handle, no knob. The camp axe had a curved handle and a knob, so that'd be camp axe. I don't have the other kind. An axe pattern hatchet would be straight, no knob. It would be like a hammer handle. And that makes sense because that's a tool handle. So I kind of understand that. And definitely the one that they call it hatchet, they meant that you could also drive nails. You can hit it on metal things, it won't deform the head. All right, now this time I like to only present information if I found documentable evidence. I know is true for one manufacturer, 1 year in that catalog. Was it true before that catalog? I don't know. Was it true after the catalog? I don't know. Does anybody else share that distinction with that manufacturer that year? I don't know. I just know that it varied, and that previously that distinction was not in their catalogs. And in anything I found from that manufacturer or others after, that distinction varies in the catalogs. And then where I don't have any more evidence, I'm going to do some conjecture based on my own experience. I'm going to describe it as a marketing gimmick because I was in marketing, and this is definitely something I've seen marketers do. So I'm going to guess it's this. If you have this is one of my hunting axes. And I have the 12-inch handle because this is little and it goes in my pack. And this will be one. In fact, this year I used this one to dress out a deer. Okay? That's my hunting axe. If you've already bought one of those, that's a hand axe, honey. It's a small version of the axe. It's very useful for close, small work. I can carve with it. I can pound in wooden stakes with it. I can do just about everything I need a little axe to do. And when I go hunting, I'll just put a really keen edge on it because I'm going to be using that to open up a deer and split pelvises. I hope that wasn't too graphic for some people's sensibilities. All right, so I've got this. How does the company get me to buy another one? Well, they would say, well, you have that tiny little, what we would call a belt axe. But do you want a hunting axe? Do you have one of those? I don't think you should be using a belt axe for that. I think you should be using a hunting axe. And then they would say this is a hunting axe. And what makes it a hunting axe? Well, in that catalog they said the handle's different. Whoops. I have a curved handle, a bent grip with a knob on it. This one would have a curved handle without a knob on it. You don't have one of those. You need to get yourself one. So buy another axe. Okay? So now I've got, I guess I'm going to call that a belt axe now. And this will be my hunting axe. Alright, it's like, well, do you go camping? You don't use your hunting axe for camping, do you? You need a camp axe. So then they would come up with another axe and say, well, what makes that a camp axe? Well, this one we know has the hardened pole. You can drive nails with it. So do you have a camp project? Is your picnic table loose? Run around, drive in all the nails with your camp hatchet. We're going to call this one a hatchet. So you got your hunter axe. Do you have a camp hatchet? Well, you are incomplete. You needs to buy one. So then you buy that one. Do you have a sportsman's axe? Well, what do I need a sportsman's axe for? I got a belt axe, I got a hunting axe, I got a camp axe. Yeah, but you don't have a sportsman's axe. What's a sportsman's axe? The wind came up here, I took it off. A sportsman's axe is a scout axe without being for scouts specifically. Oh, and no nail slot. It's a racy little axe that makes you look really sporty. Well, I better get me one of those. It's a great marketing trick. I know. Because that customer you will rename. And you will call him Joe Bradford.